I could do that. Volunteers. Welcome to Gold Ball Sports, episode 20. Along with Dave Myers and Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shasteen. Thank you for tuning in to our 20th episode, man. We've been doing this over 20 weeks because we skipped a couple.
Yeah.
Since the Florida-Tennessee game is when Gold Ball Sports started.
What an atmosphere.
Now here we are, football not over.
No.
XFL action all weekend.
XFL.
Welcome in. We're going to touch a lot of bases tonight, but we begin with college basketball. Kim was fortunate enough to make his way to beautiful Thompson Bowling Arena to watch Tennessee beat the number one team in the nation, Alabama. Ken, how did you enjoy yourself?
Not very much.
Yeah? Good atmosphere?
No, it was a great atmosphere. Sterling Hinton, the former Tennessee Vol quarterback turned DJ, was rocking Thompson Bowling. Rocking Thompson Bowling Arena. We got there early in hopes. I've got a friend of mine that's a Tennessee Vol usher for many, many, many years. Tried to get into the NBA skybox, but there was 15 scouts there. 16 seats so it wasn't going to work for my son Darren and his two friends and myself. But we took a gamble and bought some cheap tickets and tried to get in there. But he said, "Not happening tonight, boys. They're here to see Brandon Miller."
How cheap are the cheap tickets?
We got $17 seats. Yeah. So I mean, it was great.
And that was your view, the starting lineup.
That was my view of the starting lineups, and their moniker, their mantra, is feed the floor. And, them Tennessee fans fed the floor, and the Tennessee players responded. Tennessee, they come into this game. It was shocking to me all the way up on the trip, from Murfreesboro to Knoxville. We're talking about the Vols being favored in this game. And we just didn't understand the line on that with Vegas. And
Tennessee had been playing terrible. They've been playing terrible. Losing games at the end, the teams like Vanderbilt, Missouri, they just really had been struggling.
They
and
lose.
For them to be favored against the number one team in the nation, even at home.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense. It's like what's going on? Tennessee, the line started 4-point favorites. It went down to like 2.5. But you're right. They lost on buzzer beaters to Vanderbilt and then Missouri. Missouri's buzzer beater nearly from half court. And then Alabama had went on the road to beat Auburn. Tough environment. Nate Oates takes down Bruce Pearl. Alabama comes into this game number one. The first week they got voted number one. They had their best start. They were 22-3 after 25 games since 1975. And they come in. And my son and I are confident. We're very confident Alabama's going to win this game. The wrong team's favored. Vegas has this wrong. And I'm going to tell you, I was very impressed with the Tennessee team from the opening tip. The seats that we had, I could obviously see the whole court, but Tennessee's perimeter offense, very impressed with the way they move the basketball. Their passing just quick, accurate, crisp passes. They hit some outside shots. They got some putback buckets on offensive rebounds. But, no pun intended, but their defense was tenacious all night long. And they just
You
they outplayed
absolutely
Alabama.
intended that pun.
I did intend it. I thought that one out, but I was saying it after the game. The tenacious defense. Tennessee minimized turnovers. They played very, very physical brand of basketball. It almost looked like a football game the way that the two teams were playing, a very physical game.
Did any Alabama players fear any fans after the game? Was there any punching or slapping the face or anything?
No, there wasn't anything of that nature after the game.
No,
but there was a few raucous chants throughout, numerous raucous chants. But hey, that's going to happen in the SEC. The road environment's just so hard to play in. But Tennessee's home court advantage made the difference. They came out with energy and passion, and they pulled it off. They shocked number one. They beat Alabama.
Yeah, and then they played another game.
Yeah.
It's a very inconsistent Tennessee team that we're getting right now, and it's been Rick Barnes, sort of his albatross since he got theirs. Now, last year was certainly an exception. They won the SEC tournament, but what did that get them in the NCAA tournament? I think they won one game and then got knocked out in the round of 32. These great regular seasons are great, but I just as soon be slumping right now than playing my best basketball, because Tennessee's proven they can't sustain their best basketball over a long period of time. There are times we've seen them beat
Kansas.
Kansas, Alabama, and there's one more. I want to say Arizona. All top 10 teams. So they can play exceptional. And you've seen them multiple times where Jay Billis or, whoever will say something to the effect of this is a Final Four looking team right here. And then they come out and play like they did against Kentucky. Now, Kentucky's a tough place to win, but Tennessee has done very well in Lexington, much better than anybody else does in Lexington. In fact, Tennessee is about 500 in Lexington over the last 15, 20 years. So they do well there, but Saturday, I don't think they ever led the game. I mean, it was just Kentucky start to finish. Tennessee missed enough free throws to have won the game had they just made all their free throws. Missed multiple layups and dunks. It was just Tennessee's offense is just so inconsistent. And even though the defense is great, when the offense starts missing, it's like it starts affecting their defense.
Yeah, that's inconsistency. When it comes tournament time and you guys string together 6 wins in March Madness to win it all. This is a team that can't beat anybody. As you said, Kansas, Alabama right now, they're number 2. Houston's number 1, the Houston Cougars, and then Kansas sitting at 3. So they beat 2 and 3, okay, and 2 of the top 3 teams. So they can beat anybody. And if you look at the top 25, you've got Alabama now second. They dropped a spot. Houston Cougars, who Alabama beat earlier in the season at Houston, is number 1. Tennessee drops to number 11. I still think they're a dangerous team. Joe Lunardi's got them projected as a 3 seed, has Bama projected as a 1. But, we'll see. There's a lot of basketball left. But the Tennessee team that we saw last Wednesday night upset number 1 ranked Alabama. Playing like that, Tennessee can beat anybody in the country. It's just a matter if you can sustain it and put several of those wins together come tournament time. But I would not be surprised at all to see Alabama and or Tennessee in the Elite 8, perhaps Final Four. We'll see. We'll see. But it's possible.
I have more faith in Alabama being there than I do Tennessee.
And Tennessee had 2 starters out in that game. They beat Alabama too. So keep that in mind, folks.
And had those starters out against Kentucky.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun to watch and see how. Speaking of the other teams in the SEC, I don't think there's any other teams ranked in the SEC in the AP Top 25 poll that I saw today. 3 of them received other votes, that being Kentucky, Missouri, and Arkansas. So those are 3 teams that's definitely going to get in, along with Tennessee and Alabama. I don't know who else, Scott, out of the SEC may get into the bracket.
Well, it's all about the bracket now. It's all about the field of 68. Who cares what the AP poll says to me anymore? I don't even care about these conference tournaments. I mean, I'll watch some of the games, but these conference tournaments, they're going to make very little difference. Just like conference championship games in football, they're going to make very little difference on where teams are seated. I think about a 3 to a 4 is about where Tennessee needs to be. I think Alabama deserves that number 1 right now. This Houston team is amazing. Houston has won 25 games, 3 consecutive seasons. The last time they did that was 1981 to 1984. You remember what that team was called?
Phi Slamma Jamma.
Phi Slamma Jamma.
They were some bad dudes.
Yes.
Clyde
Drexler, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they won a championship.
I know they lost to the Celtics when they played with the Lakers.
I'm not talking about the Houston Cougars,
the Houston Rockets,
the college basketball team.
No, they did not.
I don't think of those 5 Slamma Jamma teams, none of them won a championship.
No. And I think they had trouble winning NBA championships when they
got
there too.
Akeem won a couple when Michael played baseball.
Yeah, I don't know about Drexler.
Drexler won a couple when Michael played baseball. Okay. But anyway, we move on. Kim, we're 2 weeks out from the Super Bowl. We missed last week, just unavoidable circumstances. But Super Bowl 38-35 Chiefs Great Super Bowl. Just great Super Bowl. Just back and forth, highly competitive, top level quarterback play, man. That's what you got to get to win in football now. And I think you had the two top level quarterbacks in the NFL, certainly on that day, squaring off on the field. It was basically whoever had the ball last would win, and that's what happened.
Great Super Bowl till the last 2 minutes. We'll come back to that. You
No,
know,
we're
really,
not- we don't have to
a
come
tale of two halves. A tale of two halves. You know, really, the Eagles dominated the first half. They had that 24-10 lead, and when you see the stats show up, that was really, you know, spoke for the whole first half. 20 offensive plays for the Kansas City Chiefs and 17 first downs for the Philadelphia Eagles. Time of possession dominated by the Eagles. They had the ball the whole time, playing keep away from Mahomes. Had that lead, and really, you know, we talked about it on this show, Scott. We both thought maybe Jalen Hurts was going to win the MVP, that he was the best quarterback during the regular season. They gave it to Patrick Mahomes. I thought that the Eagles may win the Super Bowl going in. I gave the Eagles a slight advantage in the game. Just based on their defense, you know, only allowing 14 points in the postseason up to that, but the defense in the second half, Scott, did not show for Philadelphia Eagles.
No, but the offense did for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's why I took the Chiefs and gave the points. I won the big money. Follow me.
Yeah.
Win big.
I said it's going to be a high-scoring game. I
did
said
say it was gonna be a
I said
high-score.
35.
Now, you got the over.
34-33.
You definitely got the
Yeah, I
over.
hit the over on it.
Big time.
And, you know, so in the second half, you know, big fumble by Jalen Hurts. Really the only mistake that he made in the game. He fumbles the football, and it gets returned for a scoop six. And really, you know, that kind of flipped momentum in the game, you know, toward the Kansas City Chiefs. Right before that fumble, though, there was really a really key sequence, I think, that got lost in the whole game. Philadelphia was around midfield, maybe inside midfield around the 45-yard line of Kansas City, really threatening to put the game away. They have a 3rd and 1, get stuffed, have a 4th and 1, or the third down play, they get caught for an illegal procedure. And so it comes back, they don't make the next play, and then or the fumble occurs. So they kind of know that they ran the play, got stopped. Then they had the procedure on the 4th and 1 on a, you know, just had to get a half yard, and then the fumble. And then the last couple minutes of the football game, you know, I'm thinking, hey, you got a 3rd down. Philadelphia's going to hold them to a field goal. It's going to be 38-35. Jalen Hurts going to get the ball back with a minute left with a chance to win this game for the Eagles. And that chance never happened. We had the pass interference call that was the flag that was thrown on the play. And, you know, just looking at it as a football fan, watching football a long time as you have, Scott, and Dave, as you have too, it's like, how can a referee throw the flag in that situation? You know, you don't call it all game, and you're going to wait till the last 2 minutes to call the game. Now Kansas City's going to bleed the clock out. They didn't have to use, it doesn't matter if you call your timeouts or not. You take them away from Philadelphia because they got to use them. And then I thought it was kind of smart of the Kansas City guy catching the pass, running down the 1 yard line. He could have scored. He just fell down. That guy could have had his name in Super Bowl record book for history of just getting in the scoring summary of a Super Bowl game. And he took one for the team right there, Scott, by dropping down on the 1 yard line, and they kicked the field goal.
Yeah, but ultimately that guy could have had his name in the record books as one of the all-time Super Bowl GOATs if he had gone in there and scored, and the Eagles had come back and scored and won the game because they would have had time. See,
Well,
that's why he had to go down at the
look.
1 yard line so the time would tick away. Had he went in and scored and given the Eagles back the ball, and they had gone down and scored and went for 2 and 1, he would have been the GOAT.
It's great if it works, but what if it don't work? And I'm going to give you an
What he
example
did
from another
did
sport.
work.
Okay, it did, but what if it didn't? Okay, and I'll give you a hypothetical. You're saying, well, it did. Okay, Vanderbilt, Tennessee.
Oh, man.
Tennessee has a chance of running the clock out for a wide open slam dunk. They bypass it. The guy, I don't remember who
Set
it was.
the context.
Yeah.
10 seconds left to go. Tennessee's down by 2. They get the ball in. All they're trying to do is avoid getting fouled. Vanderbilt's down. Tennessee's up by 2. Yeah, I think it was Kamwa. May have been Phillips. Either way, had a wide open dunk, passed it up, passed the ball out, ended up going completely Vanderbilt's way. Tennessee missed free throws. Vanderbilt made a basket and beat Tennessee. That's
So,
a good example.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. So that's two good examples. It paid off for Kansas City because, in effect, it did make the Eagles bleed their timeouts, and Jalen Hurts no opportunity to come back as time essentially ran out. And so that gets us to our first down and dirty of the night.
You want to have that debate?
Yes, we do.
Let's go.
Scott, down and dirty. Let's play. Let's do it. Down and dirty.
What is your pretext for down and dirty, Ken?
Okay, well, we're just going to have a discussion. So it's going to be just a little discussion here. And I'm going to throw this question out, and I just want your reaction as a fan and what you really feel about this. Coming off the Super Bowl, I know it's been a couple weeks, and you've had time to let the emotional part come out of it. Did the NFL referees hijack the Philadelphia Eagles and take the Super Bowl win away from the Eagles with a phantom pass interference call, or was it phantom, or was it legit? Your thoughts?
My thoughts is I'd like to check the previous 19 episodes, and I just want to see how many times you've blamed a game on officials. I bet 25% of our shows feature Ken Keller in some context, form, fashion, or athletic event, pointing out the shortcomings of officials. And you know, they do have shortcomings. But remember, Ken, the NFL is a business. It's a business. And gambling has taken over professional sports, college sports. Why don't I start a gambling site for high school sports? But it's taken over. So it didn't surprise me one bit to see that pass interference penalty called against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, did the guy touch the jersey a little bit? Yes, he did. Legitimate call. Do you call it with 2 minutes to go in the Super Bowl when it's basically going to decide the game? I'd rather they didn't. Yeah. But, you know, the league quickly put out a statement. Legitimate penalty. The guy the receiver, the defender came out quickly, and you don't see this very often, came out quickly and said, yep, I committed the penalty. That was a good call. I committed the penalty. You don't see that very much.
That was a shocker.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do, Go Ball Sports, we do expose referees when they make bad calls. Okay? Yeah. We do.
So much money, billions and billions and billions of stuff.
And this was much discussed. It was the topic of the game. And over and over again in social media posts, Facebook, Twitter, there was a lot of fans upset that the referee did not swallow the whistle in the last 2 minutes of the Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year, in that situation. Now, that being said, there was two calls that was worse than that call. I did not like the time, and I just think that should have been a no call in that situation. Did he grab him? Yes. I thought the receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles caught the football that was ruled incomplete and took 2 steps, that the Kansas City Chiefs recovered that fumble and scored on a fumble 6 there. I thought that was a bad call against the Chiefs. Conversely, I thought Devontae Smith's 35-yard catch was indeed a catch and had possession on that. So, look, I'm going to address this more in our participation trophy, so just stay tuned for that. All right. That's all I got to say about that. But, look, I just don't like to see a humongous game called when those pass interference penalties are not called the first 58 minutes of the game. Why do you call it in the last 2 minutes of the game on what some deemed as an uncatchable pass, even at that? So that's my 2 cents. The ball was uncatchable. The contact was minimal. Did he grab his shirt? Yes, he did. But in that situation, swallow the whistle.
We know what the truth is.
Yeah.
And the truth is, the Chiefs were favored by 1.5 points, and they needed to win that spread. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I think.
Let's
you're right.
go to the podium. Podium time here on episode 20 of Gold Ball Sports, where we award those who have excelled during the past week, or in this case, past week or two, because I'm going to stretch back a little bit. I think we both might. My bronze medal this week goes to Kansas City offensive lineman Trey Smith. Now, you remember Trey Smith? He's from Jackson, Tennessee, Jackson Central Mary High School. When he came out of high school, he was the number one, unquestionably, unchallenged, the number one prospect in the country. You know recruiting. Do I speak the truth?
Correct.
Yeah. Trey Smith went to Tennessee as the highest recruit they had ever gotten. In-state kid. But he developed blood clots while he was at Tennessee, and his career was kind of off and on. I think he maybe missed a whole season, part of another one. Had all these blood clots. There were a lot of questions about Trey Smith coming into the NFL draft a couple of years ago. He fell all the way to the 6th round. This is formerly the number one player in the country in high school, but I think for some reason, pro teams weren't sure about this blood clot situation that he had. So he falls to 6th round. The Chiefs get the absolute steal. He started every game he's ever been in, and he's a Super Bowl champion. So bronze medal tonight, homeboy, Tennessee boy, Trey Smith, champion, world champion, and a world champion guy.
Yeah.
Trey Smith is good people.
I think that's a great selection. As you said, he overcame adversity, never quit, never gave up. ESPN number one offensive tackle in the nation, overall player number one in the nation, as you said. And that Kansas City offensive line, they give up 0 sacks to the Philadelphia Eagles. We didn't talk about this in our Super Bowl segment, but wasn't that field awful slick?
Terrible.
I mean, how can you play an NFL Super Bowl on a field?
It looked like 1968 in the old L.A. Coliseum.
The guy's slipping all over the place. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Terrible.
But that's a noble pick. So we're here on episode 20 of Gold Ball Sports. My bronze medal this week goes to former Alabama national championship, 3-time national champion, A.J. McCarron of the now XFL St. Louis Battlehawks. All he did was win in his first start and overcome a 15-3 deficit in the last minute and a half of the game. Dave's got a video for us to show a few clips of that over the San Antonio Brahmas.
McCarron, end zone, has a player, caught! Touchdown St. Louis, Hakeem Butler. McCarron, end zone, squeezes it in there, 3-point conversion. McCarron buys more time, keeps his eyes downfield, has Pro. McCarron has a receiver. Caught! Touchdown St. Louis and a flag on the play. That is Pro.
All right, so a couple of things about the XFL, Scott. Number one, if our fans listen closely there, a 3-point conversion. So you can take the ball out to the 10-yard line, and if you get the ball in the end zone on that play, kind of 2-point conversion. What is it? 2.5-yard line. Move it back to the 10, you get 3 points. You like that rule?
Well, it's actually 1 point is at the 2-yard. They don't kick extra points in the XFL.
Okay.
1 point is at the 2-yard line. 2 points is at the 5-yard line. And 3 points is at the 10-yard line. I do like it. It's different.
I do too. Yeah,
it's different, but I can handle different.
Yeah.
It's football.
Yeah.
Most of these guys, played at Power 5 conferences. You'd heard of a lot of them. I got to be honest here. Be transparent, like the government. I'll be honest and tell you that A.J. McCarron was on my participation trophy list up until the end of that game, because I thought, my God, this is terrible. They're terrible.
Yeah.
And then they come back and win the game. So I had to
Yeah, and so
I had to revamp.
And he did finish strong, 11 for 14, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter of that game. But another little rule I like. So in lieu of an onside kick, the team that's behind can take a 4th and 10 from their own 20. And if they convert the 10 yards, they get to keep possession of the ball. So that's what they did. They had a 4th and 10 play after the 3-point conversion. They got it past 10 yards, so they got to keep the ball, and then they drive down and they win the game. So a couple little quirky rules in the
Also
XFL that may help the league.
Yeah, I also like their kickoff rule, where the teams are 5 yards apart, and they can't start until the ball reaches the receiver's hand. Now I didn't see any XFL kickoff returns for touchdowns over the weekend, but I also did not see one single penalty on a kickoff, which half the kickoffs in the NFL you get some holding penalty
That's right.
or
Or
blocking
college.
back or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, college too. Yeah. Good
So
point.
so I kind of like that, but it was good to watch a little football over the weekend.
Absolutely.
Little XFL.
So we're in the XFL mode. And I love some of those names too of those teams. The
Oh, yeah, there's
the
some-
Battle Hawks and the Brahmas.
the Brahmas.
I had to look up a Brahma and see what it was.
What
I
is
said,
it?
"Is that a camel with a bull?"
A bull.
Yeah.
Brahma bull, sure.
Yeah. So silver. So my podium silver winner goes to the Tennessee Volunteers basketball team. Look, folks, I know they've lost 3 out of 4, but when they want to play, they can be the best. You play with the best in the nation. They prove that. I witnessed it. I saw it. They clearly play better than Alabama from the opening tip. They wanted to win the game more. They beat Alabama 68-59. So the Tennessee Vols get my silver medal here on episode 20, Scott. They earned it. They deserved it. They were the tougher team. They shot the ball better. They rebounded better. They took care of the basketball better. They passed the ball better. They did everything better than Alabama that game and deserved to win.
I thought after watching that game and then watching the Tennessee-Kentucky game and watching a little bit of Alabama, whoever they beat by 60 points.
Georgia.
More and more, I'm beginning to solidify my belief that home crowds have made more of a difference. And I've talked about this off and on throughout this program's history. This year, home crowds have made more of a difference. I think home teams have a higher winning percentage than ever because of COVID. And that's shutting things down for a couple of years, man. People, just like you, people are glad to be back at the stadium and be loud and have fun and enjoy live games. So yeah, good silver pick. Tennessee Volunteers, I always like that. My silver medalist is Patrick Mahomes. We've talked about the Super Bowl. All this guy's done is win 2 Super Bowls in 4 or 5 years. What's he got to do to be considered one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? I don't know what else he's got to do. He's the most valuable player, and he's got the best team. And, that was the case with Joe Montana. He had the best team. He's a great quarterback. He had the best team. Tom Brady, for the most part, had the best team. He lost Super Bowls. Terry Bradshaw, other than Dallas, had the best team. Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if he had the best team or not, but they were just good enough to get that win. He gets my silver medal because, man, that dude was hurting. He was hurting the AFC Championship game, and he was hurting in the Super Bowl, and he still did what it took to win. Silver medal, Patty Mahomes.
Go back to back. You're up on the gold.
The gold, my gold medal. Oh, this is hard to do. I've dreaded this for 2 weeks. I think it's why I agreed that we all had difficulties last week because I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to award this gold medal to the NBA's all-time leading scorer.
Oh.
LeBron James. You get the gold medal from me tonight on episode 20 of Gold Ball Sports. Now, LeBron, between me and you are likely to never get another medal from me because you certainly ain't got one up to now. But, I gotta stay true to my professionalism as a sports talk show host and recognize the greatness that is LeBron James. Now, I still don't want him on my team. That's why I don't have a Lakers jersey on tonight. I still don't want him on my team, and I appreciate them getting rid of Russell Westbrook. That's a start. And I don't cheer for him. The Lakers are terrible. Right now, they're going to even be in the playoffs. But, man, when this kid was 17 years old, his picture was on Sports Illustrated, and the caption was "The Chosen One" at 17. That was LeBron James. Go search for that. So, man, there's just not too many of those that come out that live up to expectations. And as much as I dislike LeBron, just for personal reasons, and still love me some Captain Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Love me some Captain. He was so gracious. And when LeBron broke that record, man, I love me some Captain. But doggone it, LeBron's earned it. He's got 3 or 4 rings. He's got a lot more losses. I don't think he's the GOAT. He's never going to be the GOAT. Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player in history. But respect and gold medal tonight. LeBron James, I didn't think it would ever be broken. Should have known. Remember, Kareem didn't shoot no 3-pointers. Keep that in mind. But should have known when the 3-point line came out, somebody was eventually going to break this scoring record, and they have. So gold medal, LeBron James. I hope the next time I mention that name on Go Ball Sports, it's to announce that he is traded from the Lakers. Thank you very much.
All right, that's. I think you did really good on that, and I know you're a Laker fan. Your blood's purple. You've been purple and gold a long time.
It's hard to love a team and not be able to cheer for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so I think you just spoke from the heart on that. But I'm like,
if Alabama hires Butch Jones as head coach, and he goes 4-8, I think you'll understand.
Yeah. So Kareem, he was very gracious in the way that he, that he just passed the torch. Look, and we've already been over this 100 times. Scott and I grew up watching basketball in the NBA early 70s. All through that. They don't play defense the way they have, but that does not diminish what a great player LeBron James is. He's got a lot of gimme baskets where they don't contest the basket. I would not even put him in the 5 best Lakers. Okay, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant. All those are, in my mind, greater Lakers.
I can live with
than him. Every one of those guys.
I'll take that starting 5 every time.
Yeah, that 5 right there.
What you got, producer?
So Jared had a good point. Do y'all think Michael would have broken that record had he not taken time off for baseball?
Jared asked if Michael Jordan would have broken that record had he not taken time off for baseball. I'd have to look at the math, see what he averaged the couple of years before, or the year before and the year after, something like that, and have to do that math. So I don't know, Jared. Good question. Had Michael continued to play 18, 20 years like LeBron and Kareem did, yes, I absolutely think he would have broken that record. That doesn't mean LeBron wouldn't have come on and still broken it, because I think he's going to play, a couple more years. The guy's in great shape. Good question, Jared. Appreciate the feedback.
I'm going to break this down for you, Jared. Cam Thomas, a rookie in the NBA, had 3 straight games over 40 points. If Michael Jordan played in today's NBA, Michael Jordan would average 40-plus points a game. No doubt in my mind. Absolutely. So
I think
that's my thought.
I think he'd get so frustrated at his teammates, he'd go play baseball, because none of them play
there
defense.
You go, big dog.
And Michael was the best
there,
defender in the game, while he was the best player.
You're right. Yeah, he was. How many
you got
awards did he win for, the all defensive,
the
best defensive player? So my gold medal goes to Patrick Mahomes. And, Patty Mahomes. Look, as Scott said, injured, playing on injury. The first half, he was sacked, and his foot did take an awkward. You could see him on the sidelines, grimacing in pain. And then lo and behold, he comes back and makes a clutch in the late third, early fourth quarter. I don't remember where it was. Like a 30-yard run with no limp, no hesitation, just fleeing down the field, outrunning everybody on the field. And I'm saying, what in the world did they shoot in his foot or leg at halftime? It sure worked. Or he put on the biggest Houdini act, in history of football. But look, you asked what he's got to do to be great. So Big D's got a graphic he's going to put up, I believe, that shows several of the quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls and MVPs. Okay? Peyton Manning, 2 Super Bowls, 5 MVPs. So of all the quarterbacks on the list, he's not won the most Super Bowls, but the most MVP awards, most valuable players in the NFL. Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowls, 7 Super Bowl wins, 3 MVPs. Let's look at who else is on this list right here. Steve Young, 3 Super Bowl wins, 2 MVPs. Patrick Mahomes, now 2 Super Bowl wins, 2 MVPs. Joe Montana, 4 Super Bowl wins, 2 MVPs. Who's missing from that list? Scott mentioned one earlier. Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls. I don't have him as multiple MVPs. I don't know if he won one or not. Again, great team, great running game. Franco Harris, Lynn Swann, the Steel Curtain defense, John Stallworth. And then another one I don't see on here, Troy Aikman won 3 Super Bowls. I don't know if Troy Aikman won an MVP. I didn't have time to research that today. We had Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, and that great defense that the Cowboys had. So certainly Patrick Mahomes took a big step forward on this list of these quarterbacks, and it's going to be great to see how that AFC is full of good young quarterbacks. Who's going to come out and dominate? Is this dynasty going to continue with the Kansas City Chiefs? Is it going to continue with Trey Smith and this young offensive line and this young Patrick Mahomes? That they can lose Tyreek Hill and continue to win Super Bowls? Well, he's won 2 in his first 5 years. Going to be interesting to see what transpires in the next few years.
May depend on how long Andy Reid wants to keep coaching.
Yep. He's having fun right now, ain't he?
All right, let's take a look at our participation trophies.
Gold Ball Sports, where participation trophies simply don't cut it.
Participation trophies
Yeah.
just don't cut it, do they?
No, they don't. They simply don't cut it.
My participation trophy is kind of general. All right. It just goes to the NBA and their so-called All-Star Weekend. Just a pathetic showcase to have for such a great league. They got to figure out something else to do because this is not working. You have to give the players something to play for. Are you going to get what you've got in the last few years? Certainly, and that is just 3-point shots and open dunks, pretty much like a regular season NBA game. So it just the whole thing I thought was terrible. I haven't seen the ratings, but I'm going to bet they were pretty bad. Close behind on this was the NFL and its Pro Bowl weekend. About the same as far as I'm concerned. Major League Baseball still got a decent all-star game because the home team in the World Series is determined by who wins the all-star game. So it still means a little something. It means nothing in the NFL and NBA. Just do away with it. It's one less thing. Participation trophy, NBA and your all-star weekend. Yeah.
And that's sad. I mean, I totally agree with you on that, Scott. It doesn't have to be that way.
It used to be all the greatest
3-point
players.
contest. I'd love to watch that. The uniforms that they used to wear, the East and the West. You got Bird on one side, Magic Johnson on the other. You got Jordan participating in the slam dunk contest with guys like Spud Webb and David Thompson, Dominique Wilkins. LeBron James, I agree with Stephen A. Smith, has single-handedly killed the NBA Slam Dunk All-Star contest. He doesn't participate in it. And other guys, they follow LeBron, they follow his lead, and they don't participate in it either. The 3-point contest with the red, white, and blue basketballs were so fun to watch. Larry used to win those and say, hey, I'm going to win. Why are you even trying? And those were so fun. So participation trophy time, I'm going to let Mr. Bill take the spotlight right here because he's got a participation award, and then I'm going to give mine.
Thanks to Mr. Ken, Mr. Scott, and Mr. Dave for allowing me to share this time with you today. Spot suggested giving UT men's basketball a participation trophy for their poor showing in Lexington this weekend against the Kentucky Wildcats. I reminded him that the SEC road games are really mean to the visiting opponents. So, oh no! I call today's segment a Mr. Bill flashback. Sluggo and I got to meet Coach Wimp Sanderson Saturday, in our opinion, the best coach in Alabama basketball history. Even though he was scowling a lot, he was very kind and generous, and even took this picture with a close friend of mine. Coach Wimp was named SEC Coach of the Decade for the 1980s by the Lexington Herald Tribune, National Coach of the Year in 1987, and coached many Alabama greats like Derek McKee, Buck Johnson, Latrell Sprewell, James Robinson, Antonio McDyess, and my personal favorite, Alvin Lee 4-3. After meeting Coach, we watched the number 1 Alabama basketball team choke the life out of the Georgia Bulldogs. Well, that's all for this week. And remember, kids, choking is a safety hazard. Uh-oh. It looks like Sluggo may be choking me soon. Oh, no!
Wimp.
Yeah.
Wimp.
Yeah.
Mr. Bill talking some wimp. He was fun to watch on the sideline.
Oh, yeah, he was. He was intense. And, Mr. Bill keeps an eye on everything. Even one of his good friends got to, step down the court and take a picture with Wimp Sanderson, so that was pretty cool. Mr. Bill keeps an eye on all sporting events. So, good segment. So my participation trophy tonight, I'm switching sports, goes back to football. And it goes to the NFL Commissioner, Roger Goodell, who came out the week before the Super Bowl and said that NFL officiating has never been better. Let me tell you, folks, that's an absolute bald-faced lie from the pits of hell. I'm going to tell you, folks, it is, because back in the day, they used to put all the referees' names on the screen right when the game started. I remember the guys not like Jim Tunney. I remember guys like Jerry McBride. These guys were men of renown that went out there for the pride of the game and didn't see what color a team wore on their uniforms, but called the game straight. And you didn't have all these crazy controversies after all the big games back then as you do now. So, well, I think we have a picture, Big Dave, of Mr. Goodell after the Super Bowl wearing his favorite shirt. Did we have that?
It's on it right now.
Okay, it's on. So he's got his favorite colors on, red and yellow, and he has his guys wear them little, take those little yellow things and signal down and throw them whenever it's an opportune time. But Roger Goodell gets my participation trophy, the NFL Commissioner and chief fan in Kansas City.
That's awesome. That's good. Good stuff. Good stuff. Barbecue pays well.
Yeah.
All right, so let's flip. We've done
Let's
our
flip.
participation trophies. Good job. Let's talk a little SEC football. Because
talk
we've
it.
got a situation where Oklahoma and Texas sitting over there in the Southwest, and they're looking at the next 2 years of shrinking revenue and declining ratings and lack of ability to get in the national championship conversation. And they're saying, why should we wait 2 years? Tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to come after next year. We're just going to come after next year. SEC, you do whatever you got to do. We're just going to come after next year. And SEC says, okay. It's a money grab for everybody, so okay. What do you think about Texas and Oklahoma coming in a year early?
As an Alabama fan, I'm not happy about it because I know how good those teams recruited this year. I know they both signed stud quarterbacks. Jackson Arnold for Oklahoma and then Arch Manning for Texas. These teams are going to match up and they're going to come in battling to win the SEC championship their first year, man. They're going to be reloaded And those are going to be two very strong teams in 2024 to make the already toughest conference with 24 teams, the Southeastern Conference, even more tougher now with 16 teams, Scott.
So 16 teams, what that does is it's going to force the SEC to abandon the East and West divisions and probably go to 4 quadrants. Now, we haven't heard yet how they would reach a champion. With 4 quadrants, would there be a semifinal game and then the SEC championship game? We don't know that yet. But we do want to go down and dirty because we need to talk about there's going to be 3 constant opponents and then a 6 and 6 rotating schedules. That's 15. But 3 constant year after year opponents. Let's go down and dirty. Regardless of what's happened the last couple of years, Alabama is still, in my opinion, in position to be the dynasty. All they got to do is win it next year. And Georgia's looks like a little 2-year fluke there, and Alabama's dynasty grows. Either way, you should pick the teams you want to play every year as an Alabama fan because you're the dynasty. So
Yeah.
What teams do you think should be Alabama's 3 constant opponents?
That's a good question. So this 3, 6, and 6 format means exactly what you said, Scott. You set that up excellent. 3 permanent opponents, which every SEC team will play 3 teams every single year. Then you play 6 teams along with it for 9 conference games. Okay, they've been playing 8. And this is the last year in the SEC for 8. So in 2024, you go to 9 conference games. The 6 teams that you played in A year, in B year, the next year you play the other 6 teams. So what this does is every 4 years, it ensures that if you stay in college and play for a college SEC team for 4 years, you will host every team on your field at least one time. So I like that aspect of it. That's
And
pretty
you
cool.
also
Yeah.
visit every school
that's right.
at least one time.
Yeah, so I like that idea of it. Now, you asked me as an Alabama fan who I want to play. Well, would I prefer to play, or who is the best rivalry?
Who is the best rivalry?
Yeah.
We would all prefer to play Vanderbilt.
Okay, well, the best rivalry for Alabama is easy.
Let's put that.
Yeah.
Let's just put that out there. We would all prefer to play Vanderbilt, Missouri, and somebody else,
But
or
it's-
Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and somebody else. We know that.
But the way the card drops is going to be critical because if you do it that way, all schedules will not be created near equal.
Well, of course.
Okay.
Everybody can't play the same 3 people.
I'm going to give you an example. So Alabama's 3 number 1 rivals are these 3 teams. Certainly, if I took them in order, I would have to say the Iron Bowl first. That's the one rivalry of these 3 that I say you absolutely cannot lose. Okay, we'll see how they determine this, but the Iron Bowl, Alabama and Auburn, I think the best rivalry in college football has got to stay. Secondly, and this one's hard for me, but I would take Tennessee, Alabama over Alabama, LSU. Since 2010, I do think Alabama, LSU has been the best rivalry in college football for the last 13 years, in my opinion. No doubt. Both teams have sent more players, if you take the combined players from them 2 teams, more than anybody in the NFL. If you had any other college team, 2 teams together, nobody would beat Alabama, LSU combined since 2010. But Alabama, LSU would be the 3rd one. Fantastic rivalry, an SEC West game, but there'd be no more SEC West. That's abolished. There's no more SEC East. That's abolished. Greg Sankey is strongly leaning towards no pods, which what this means is it's just like basketball. It's a free-for-all. You play 9 conference games. The top 2 teams at the end of the season, regardless if they were in the East or West, there's no East or West, there's no quads anymore. They play for the SEC championship game. So could you have a rematch of a regular season game? Absolutely, you could have a rematch still of a regular season game. But if it came to order of preference for me as a Bama fan, you got to keep Auburn. Man, I would hate to lose the third Saturday in October, Alabama and Tennessee. And I love the rivalry, LSU, Alabama, but it's too hard when you factor in having to add in Oklahoma and Texas A&M and Ole Miss and Florida and Georgia. No, folks, no Alabama fans. You don't want any part of that. Swap out LSU for Mississippi State. I can live with 2 out of 3 hard ones. That's what I'm rolling with, Scott. Now I'm going to turn the tables on you, my friend. Tennessee plays Vanderbilt every year. But I propose to you, and I'm going to ask you this question. The best rivalries. You talk now. Tennessee, who do you want them to play? Who would be your top 3 preferred as a fan? And then who do you want them to play? And can you separate that?
Well, I want them to play the 3 sorriest teams every
Okay, then you're in agreement with me.
So,
okay, you want to make the schedule easier, the path of least resistance.
Sure. Let 2 of Vanderbilt's every year opponents be Alabama and Tennessee. No, I personally and believe for the conference that the best matchups for Tennessee are 1, Alabama. Now, that hadn't even been a rivalry for 15 years till last year. So, yeah, I'm sure Alabama wants it. But I want it, regardless of how good either one is. It's the 3rd Saturday in October. I want it to stay right there. The second one would be Florida. Okay, I think since the late 80s, early 90s, Fulmer and Spurrier started going at it. Tennessee, Florida is a great game. That's not always a great game, but I think it's a great game for both fan bases. I think it's a great game for the SEC. Tennessee, Florida, want to keep that one. And there's really no way around the third one. Okay? It's not like, well, it's a little bit like Alabama in that I think you've got 2 obvious opponents, Vanderbilt and Kentucky. And you just got to pick one. If Tennessee, to me, gets stuck playing Vanderbilt and Kentucky every year, and then an Alabama or Florida, I don't like that as a fan because I don't like those games because we've beat Kentucky like 35 out of the last 40 years, and we've beat Vanderbilt like 37 out of the last 40 years. I don't like those games. They're usually not fun to watch. They're just, those teams, for the most part, aren't that competitive. And anybody else is just too strong. It's like in Alabama's case. You put Auburn and Tennessee on there right now, I don't think they deserve an LSU. That's tough. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Tennessee. You put an Alabama and a Florida there, I don't think they deserve Georgia. Okay? Maybe South Carolina. That's turned into a pretty good rivalry. But remember, we're not talking about the best rivalries. We're talking about what's fair. And so I think it's fair. And they're in-state teams. How do you not put Tennessee and Vanderbilt together in one of these games? I don't see how they're going to avoid it. They could. But Vanderbilt certainly doesn't have any other natural rivals. You know, I mean, ain't nobody a rival with Vanderbilt. Who cares? They're just the lone one out there that everybody wants to play every year. And I think Tennessee's going to get stuck with that because they're in-state rivals. And,
I liked your answer. As a fan, you know, you love the Tennessee, Alabama. You love the Tennessee, Florida. You love the Tennessee, Georgia. What game? The greatest games in Tennessee history has been some wins from those vital wins in those 3 games. Same for Alabama with Tennessee and Auburn and LSU. But look, it's simple as this. All conferences are not created equal. The SEC was already strongest. You bring in Oklahoma and Texas in. If you take Alabama and you give them those 3 teams, if you give them Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU, and you take Tennessee and you give them Alabama, Florida, and Georgia, that's not equitable. I think you're exactly right. I think they're going to compromise for 2 out of 3. I think they're going to hang Alabama with Tennessee and Auburn. I think they're going to hang Tennessee with Alabama and Florida. Georgia's going to go away for Tennessee. LSU's going to go away for Alabama. That's what I think's going to happen. I think Tennessee will get Vanderbilt, and I think Alabama will get Mississippi State. Now,
3 teams.
that's what I think. We'll see what happens.
3 teams have got to have Texas every year and Oklahoma every year. Now, I think we can safely assume that Texas versus Oklahoma
Yes.
will be one of those.
Yes.
But that still leaves 2 games for Texas, 2 games for Oklahoma that have to be part of somebody's yearly schedule. I would be okay. If you want to take one of those 3 away from Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Florida, Alabama, give me Texas. I think Tennessee, Texas.
As a permanent?
Yeah.
Woo!
I think Tennessee, Texas has an opportunity to be a great rivalry. It's already which is the real UT, horns up,
That would
horns
be
down, all
cool,
that
man.
junk.
That would be cool.
So it's already sort of there. If you want to swap
Yeah.
Florida for that, I could probably live with that. Alabama, Texas, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I
kinda
don't-
like
I don't
that.
know about Alabama and Oklahoma.
This is what I
But
think's
I
going to
like
happen.
Alabama, Tennessee and Texas.
This is, and that's a good point. Who is who is the real UT Bowl? I mean, whatever you want to call it, but that would be pretty cool. Of course, they've played the last couple of years in basketball. I think you mentioned Southwest Conference earlier when we got started on this segment. I want to see some of those Southwest Conference games renewed. Certainly, we're not going to lose Oklahoma, Texas, the Red River rivalry. That's a great to come to the SEC. That's fantastic. But Texas A&M, I think Texas A&M's got to play both of those 2 teams. Being from the proximity in Texas, they got to play Oklahoma and Texas.
I don't think they're going to stick them with that.
I think they will.
I don't think they
I
will.
I think they might.
Arkansas is getting one of them.
Arkansas may get one of them too. So there's your teams right there. So Arkansas is going to be in that
Missouri
mix.
was also in that conference.
Yeah, Missouri was also in that conference. So it's going to be interesting to see who are their permanent opponents. One of them certainly beat each other, but who are the other 2? Who's going to draw the short end of the stick? And then who's going to get to draw the Kentuckys, the Vanderbilts, and the Missouris, and the South Carolinas, and the Mississippi States? Because that's the weakest teams. It's going to be great. And every fan in the SEC with their team is asking the same question: who do we want to be our permanent 3 rivals?
Producer,
Jared has another good point.
Jared's on it.
Got to follow the money.
Got to follow the money.
SEC will not get rid of the money games.
No.
Okay,
Get rid
Jared.
of the money games.
Then I'm going to hit you between the eyes and this. I'm going to give you your 3 permanent opponents, okay? Yours don't change, Jared. You get to keep Tennessee, Georgia, and LSU. And now I'm going to add you Oklahoma and Texas A&M. See how you like that schedule, Jared Swain, for your Florida Gators. Look, you got to peel off of the money a little bit, man, and go for, hey, I need a couple little patsies. I need a couple little easier SEC teams. Because you think it's been hard before to win the SEC championship. Just wait till now till Oklahoma and Texas come in here.
And
it
look-
ain't going to be no joke, Jack. I'm telling you.
Jack.
It ain't going to be no
You sound
joke.
like Uncle Joe, Jack. Yeah, they're all money games. The SEC gets a big old package of money from ESPN.
Yeah.
And don't matter who's playing. All right. Do they like high ratings? Sure.
Yeah.
Tennessee and Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, high ratings? Absolutely. But in the end,
Yeah.
when Vanderbilt takes on Kentucky, SEC makes just as much money as when Alabama takes on Tennessee.
That's it. That's right. Because they pool that money, right? Because they're
all
part of the conference.
big
They're a
check.
member. They're a member. That's why these 2 teams came. And let me tell you a good thing, a positive side of this. This is the last year that CBS has the SEC. I'm thankful for Gary Danielson and Brad Nessler. Bye-bye. Go to the Big Ten, Gary. You're a Purdue Boilermaker. Go call Ohio State and Purdue and Michigan games, Northwestern.
We
Go call them
want
guys.
back Todd Blackledge.
Yeah. Bring
We
back
want
Blackledge
back
back.
Todd
Bring Joe
Blackledge.
Tessitore back. Hey, so, and also another thing that I like in 2024, you're not going to have to wait a week or 2 weeks to find out for the schedule releases. They're going to do it within a week. You're going to know the next week of what time your team plays because ESPN is going to have all the TV rights and they're just going to shuffle it to their different networks. But the time slot stays the same. So SEC fans, you can plan your tailgate party because you're going to not have to wait for a window to see if somebody else picked up a game. ESPN has first choice, and these games will be announced sooner. And Scott, I like that. I didn't like coming on the show Monday night saying, Well, I wonder if there's going to be a 2:30 Gary Danielson game. I hope Gary Danielson's totally out of the picture on that situation, and he goes to another conference.
That's another story.
Just saying.
You know, they're also going to join in basketball and baseball, softball, ping pong, track, swimming, right? They're joining
Yeah.
the SEC, right?
Yeah.
It's not just a football.
That's
league.
right. That's right. That's
So
exactly right.
that'll
Yep.
be interesting.
Yep.
Dave, what else we got? Did we run down our schedule? Schedule?
That's it, my
All
friend.
right, that's it for this week. We appreciate you tuning in to episode 20 of Gold Ball Sports. We'll be back next week. For Dave Myers and Ken Keller, I'm Scott Chastain. Be good to each other.